gigantic innovation. Just as, and I love what Charlie did earlier, went through all of the different things that have changed over the last years. You went from the internet to computers, you know, the size, remember the first cell phones? You had to be a weightlifter to be able to carry them. So all those things have changed in our life. But in the world of sports, we have a similar situation. The Philadelphia Eagles have the tush push, which, by the way, will go away next year. So if you're an Eagle fan, it's the last time you're going to see it. There you go. Chicago Bears, 46 defense. San Francisco 49ers, West Coast offense. Washington Redskins, 2 tight end offense. And of course, the shotgun, which really was created by Tom Landry and Roger Staubach down in Dallas. 5 innovations in the world of football. Every one of those innovations led to a world championship. It made the teams better. So as the presentation was here, this first meeting, which I know will grow and grow and grow, really take to heart what AI is going to be able to do for all of your dealerships and also for those of their vendors. Really take to heart. Understand it, study it. It's not an easy thing to do, but it will enhance your business, I think, incredibly. And then, of course, like I talked about the pandemic and all the things we had to go through, there were really changes in our lives. You think back to the changes that you had to make, the adaptations that you had to make in your life and your business. I think of a couple different changes that occurred in mine. First of all, Derek's kind enough to introduce me as Joe Thiesmann. I appreciate that, but I'm not. I'm actually Joe Thiesmann from South River, New Jersey. My name was changed. People have asked me this question quite often. I'll tell you the story. It was the beginning of my senior year at the University of Notre Dame. I had a really good junior year. I walked in the public relations director's office. He wanted to see me. He says, Joe, how do you pronounce your last name? I said, it's Thiesmann. He said, no, it's not. He said, your last name is pronounced Thiesmann. I said, no, it's not. My last name is Thiesmann. He said, no, Joe, your last name is Thiesmann. I said, give me the phone. Picked up the phone, called my dad back home in New Jersey. I hit my dad on the phone. I said, Papa got this question. He said, what's that, Joey? I said, Dad, how do you pronounce our last name? Dead silence on the phone. About 20 seconds later, he comes over. He says, Joey, are you all right? You're in college. You know who you are. What are you doing for the last 3 years? I said, Dad, said, please just tell me. How do you pronounce our last name? I'll explain it later. He said it was Thiesmann. Hung the phone up. Turned to Mr. Dodge and said, Roger, my last name is Thiesmann. I know. I just got the phone with my dad. He says, Joe, I want to tell you something. There's a trophy out there called the high school trophy. It goes to the best college football player in the country. We think you have a chance to win that trophy. We're not just going to count on your athletic ability. Heck no. We're not even going to count on the reputation of the University of Notre Dame. We think by just simply changing the pronunciation of your last name from Thiesmann to Thiesmann to rhyme with Thiesmann, we guarantee you that trophy. That's how I became Joe Thiesmann.
Let's go.
Every one of you in this group deals with branding. You know, that's part of what AI is about. How do you brand? Through social media, through different names, through associations. That became my brand. For 53 years, it's been my brand. But then probably the biggest change in my life happened on November 18, 1985. But I'd like to take you back previous to that a fair amount. I was very blessed. I was a starting quarterback at my high school. I was a starting quarterback at the University of Notre Dame. I went to the Toronto Argonauts and played up there as a starting quarterback. And with all that, you become the leader of the football team. You become the guy that everybody looks at. And then when I got to Washington, we won a world championship. I was an MVP of the National Football League. I was a world champion quarterback. I was a man of the year. I was a distinguished citizen, but you'll love this one. 1984, I'm the 4th highest paid player in the National Football League at $1 million a year. Today, in the National Football League, that is minimum wage. For a veteran that's been there for 3 years, that's minimum wage. But I was making $1 million. But I made a big mistake, and this happens, I think, to leaders, to those people that are out front. You start believing your own headlines. You start thinking that you're really good. You start thinking that you're special. And you forget that leading is not about the leader. It's about the people that you lead. That's what you have to understand. And I lost sight of that. I thought, hey, I was special. I was a quarterback football team. Turn on the TV, Thiesmann leads Redskins. Pick up a newspaper, headlines, Thiesmann leads Redskins. Turn on the radio, all you hear, Thiesmann leads Redskins. If you didn't believe that, just ask me. I would have to tell you just how good I was. I'm not proud of that, but that's what I became. Until November 18, 1985. I remember that night like it was yesterday. We were 4-4, I wasn't playing well. I remember walking into that locker and sitting down and doing the same thing that we've all done from time to time. I was going to have a heart-to-heart with Joe Thiesmann. We've all sat there and analyzed our situation. What am I going to do now? What's the direction we're going? Like I said, you go back 4 years. You know, there were questions. Where's the money coming from? We can look now with the shutdown and everything that's going on. What's happening to the people? What are they going to be able to do? So I sat there and I stared at that wall and said, all right, Joe, it's the Giants, it's Monday Night TV. Again, here's that word. This is your opportunity to be able to go out and show the world that Joe Thiesmann that you love so much. I got up from my locker and I started at that locker room. When you leave this room, you look around, see these exit signs. We used to have that Redskin logo right below that exit sign. For 12 years, I left that locker room, hit that logo, and I never said a word. Hit it for good luck. This night, for some reason, I got up from my locker, I started out of the locker room, hit that logo, and I uttered these words. Tonight, your life's going to change, Joe. Little did I realize I was into prophecy. My world's about to change like I could never imagine. Went out on that field, 7 for 10, threw a touchdown pass. For the lookout world, Joey's back. The Joe Thiesmann that I love so much is back. We turn to start the second quarter. Coach gives calls a flea flip. Now, some of you may or may not understand the vernacular of football. I'll explain what a flea flipper is. I get up into the center, step, turn around, hand the ball to John Riggins, our Hall of Fame fullback. Johnny turns towards the line just where he gets to stop, freezes. Turns around, pitches the ball back to me. I shot a wide open arm bump down the field. He was covered. I looked to my safety valve. He was covered. And then I felt some pressure coming from the left side. Got it into Lawrence Taylor and grabbed him on the shoulder. He swung around. I wouldn't let go. And as he came around, I got my right leg between the knee and the ankle. And right over where that screen sits, I heard a pop. Sounded like 2 Muslim gunshots, but actually my right leg breaking. I had an open compound fracture in my lower right leg. I laid over the field, seemed like it was an eternity for about 5 minutes. From the knee down, my leg was completely numb. As I looked up, Bill Parcells, head coach of the Giants, and standing above me going, Joe, I'm sorry, I'm going, Bill, so bye. Joe Gibson was running out and kneels down, looks at me, and says, Joe, for 6 years we've been together. Joe, you've meant so much to this football team. Joe, this is the heck of a mess you left me. I said, I'm sorry. Within 5 minutes of breaking the leg, I've seen 2 people, I apologize to both of them. Then they started to really out of that stadium, and 55,000 people stood up and gave this selfish man an ovation like he'd never heard before in his life. 55,000 people said thank you to someone who thought he needed absolutely no one. The opportunity that is in this room is incredible. You all need one another. You need the information you're going to have. And for me, it was, like I said, it was an incredible night. And you cannot, will not, or hope to be a true success in life if you think you do it by yourself. I thought I could, because I was the star of the football team. Everything was Joe Thiesmann, everything was wrapped around me. And then I started thinking, I love to ask people this question, and I really want you to take time to think about it. How do you define success? How do you, as an individual, define success? It's something when you leave here, you go back to your homes, you go back to your businesses. Stop and think about how you define success. I had a buddy come up to me and said, Joe, you think you're a successful person? I said, I never really thought about that. But I spent 15 years playing professional football. I guess you could say I had a degree of success. I spent 23 years broadcasting, sharing information to people about the game and helping them understand the game. And I've been speaking for 45 years to different groups to ask people to look at some of the things that have happened in my life. Maybe it can make your life a little bit easier. So I guess no, Joe, those were aspirations. You aspired to be a great football player. You aspired to teach people about the game through broadcasting. And you aspire to share stories with people so that they can look at their lives and maybe make it a little bit better. Those were aspirations. This is what God. He said true success is when you reach a certain point in your life and you start giving back. The mentorship programs, I guarantee that every one of you have. It's so important to continue to help the younger generations grow and understand and learn. And here's the other thing. As we grow a little older, there's a lot of wisdom that's in this room. There's a lot of people who've been in this business a long time. But things are changing. And you have to recognize those that you can bring in to your fold. Not just to teach them the business, but to learn from them about things like AI as we move forward in our lives. In 1985, like I said, I earned $1 million as a quarterback in the National Football League. 1986, when I got hurt, if I couldn't play in a subsequent year, I could make up to $1 million. I could make $500,000 or up to $65,000. I took a $935,000 pay cut in 1986. What was I going to do? I was done in the world of football. I really didn't understand business. I wasn't proud of myself as a person. I went back to the world of sports. I said, what from this world can I take and apply to my life as a person to give me a chance in the world of business. Some of the things I like to share with you. First of all, is goals. Coaches, they stand here after every game. They stand there on overhead thing. They write down goals, offensive goals, defensive goals, special team goals, all of them written down. In every one of your businesses, you have a meeting. You have a meeting. You sit down and you write down the goals for the dealership. I know, I walk into them all the time, and I see the boards. This is what we want to do. This is the way we want to get things done. This is our sales. This is what we need to do. All written down. And then I happen to be studying one day, just reading different things. That's what I call studying. And I found out that 98% of the people in this world today refuse to take a pen in hand and write down a goal. People just don't write down goals. We think we know what we want, but we don't take the time to put it down on paper. We do it in business, we do it in sports, but in our own lives, we don't take the time to figure out exactly what we want. I ask you to do this. Write down your goals, personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. What do you want? What are you looking for in life? Write them down. You'll be amazed how the universe helps you get where you want to go. Because you have identified where you want to go. And then what price do you want to pay to be special? I don't see average in this room one bit. I see exceptional individuals that want to continue to grow and get better and better. Reminds me of Ronnie Lott, the great safety of the San Francisco 49ers. End of the 85 season, Ronnie breaks the little finger on his hand. He's a 3-time world champion, 8-time Pro Bowler. Breaks that little finger. Goes to the doctor, he says, what's my options? He says, well, we can amputate the upper part of your finger, or we'll just, take it off and you won't be able to play. You won't be able to participate. You may not get another ring. He says, what's my other option? He says, after we take it off, it's up to you whether you want to play or not. So I asked him one day, after he told the doctor, hey, look, I've made my decision. Cut it off. Cut it off. Cut off a piece of himself. I saw him at an outing, a golf outing. I said, Bonnie, why did you do this? He said, Joe, do you realize they wanted me to miss a day of work? They wanted me to miss a day. He gave up a piece of himself to go to work. How passionate are you about what you do? Do you love what you do? That's the passion that he had. Gave up a piece of himself to go to work. So goals are important. What price do you want to pay to be special? Attitude. Attitude precedes everything we do in our life. When's the last time you congratulated yourselves? Think of it. You got up this morning, early morning. You walked into the bathroom. You threw the light switch on. You looked in the mirror. What were the first words out of your mouth? Oh, God. You didn't walk in that bathroom, throw the light switch on and go, oh, that's different. I think I'll go with that's my head. It's okay with me. Congratulate yourself. Take time to be able to reward yourself. Some of the things I reference in the book I call them momises. Isn't it funny when we were kids growing up, our parents would say something to us. We would hear it, but we really weren't listening to what those words were. And then as we grow older, those words resonate. My mom used to say this, Joey, you can never be happy with anyone until you're happy with who you are as a person. Take time to congratulate yourself. You're a heck of an individual. Be able to do that. And I have to ask this question. I don't keep it from. Are there any Cleveland Brown fans in the room? No. Oh, you're okay. I gotta take a walk over. I gotta show you something. You can keep the Buckeyes. I don't care. I'm gonna show you Super Bowl ring. They're in Toronto now. When Dodger Stadium place was going nuts, everybody's excited, screaming and yelling. I used to love to play at RFK. The Packers, they love to be in Lambeau. The Eagles love to be at the Lake. New England love to be at Gillette. Browns love to be on the road. Wow. I understand that. I feel for God. You watch this man. Not just on the field, but his love, his passion for that franchise. He made a commitment to stay there. Could have gone probably anywhere he wanted. He made that commitment to stay there. You feel for people like that are committed, that want to be the best. And then when I got hurt, I got introspective. I started thinking, because people call me cocky and egotistical, and maybe I crossed the line a little bit, but I also believe this: if you don't believe in who you are, who's going to believe in you? Starts with us as individuals. I don't want to be sitting down with an investment person and just think that they aren't sure that they're really good at what they do because they want my money, and I'm not going to give it to them unless I prove to me that they're worth it. And then I look back and say, why do I believe? What's this thing that I believe in? Where's this confidence come from? And I broke it down. I tried to anticipate situations. I used to get up under a center. I could look out, see a safety shaded to the right. I could anticipate the role of the defense. Drop back, plant my foot, fire the ball to the left, 1-1 coverage. Anticipating the role of the defense. I tried being an excited student. My favorite saying is very simple. The day you stop learning is the day you stop living. The day you stop learning is the day you stop living. It's so important. And take a look at those wristbands that the quarterbacks wear. That's about 400 plays. They change about a third of them every game. You can't be stupid and play the position. So you anticipate change game. Work hard. Tom Watson, the founder of IBM, once said this: you work the first 8 hours of the day for survival. After that, everything's been invested in your future. I guarantee you there's a person in this room that works 8 hours a day. Yeah. I guarantee you work to get the job done, to be the best you can possibly be. And once you do that, it gives you confidence. See, we all create these silos for ourselves. We all have these little cocoons that we live in. It's comfortable, it's safe. I'm going to show you a week stuck in ruts. Everybody do me a favor. Fold your arms for me, comfortably and naturally. Just fold your arms for me, okay? All right? Now fold them the other way. Don't look at the person next to you, it's not going to help. It's a project, it's a home study course. But it's amazing. I ask you to fold your arms comfortably and naturally. Is it wrong that I ask you to fold your arms the other way? No, you know what it is? It's different. It's uncomfortable. Make yourself uncomfortable. That was mentioned, but make yourself uncomfortable. Do things that make you feel uncomfortable. I certainly did. 1985, we played the Chicago Bears in Soldiers Field. Unbelievable football team. I can close my eyes today and I can see Mike Singletary and Otis Wilson and Wilbur Marshall and Richard Dent, Steve McMichael, Dan Hampton. I can see all 7 of them like they're right in front of me. You know why? Because all day they were right here. They were in my grill the entire day. Fritz Perry, unbelievable guy. Do you know he could put his head, he could spread his legs and put his head on the ground. 320 pounds. Unbelievable. But there they were, the Chicago Bears. We got a 10-point lead on the Chicago Bears. We kicked the ball away from Willie Gold 3 times fastest man in football. I'm standing on the sideline, ball goes through the air. Willie catches it and starts to run. Wow, look at Willie run. Wow, look at Willie really run. Oh, Willie's in our end zone, touchdown, 4-7. But the guy that kicks off us is also our punter. He tears a thigh muscle, we don't have a punter. Coach Gibbs is walking around thinking, what am I going to do? I said, Coach, you looking for a punter? He says, yeah. I said, I can punt. He says, you can what? I said, I can punt. How hard can it be? You drop the ball, you raise your foot, 1 piece of cake. He says, fine, next time we punt, you punt. So we get the ball's on the 13-yard line. Running play, gain 2 yards, 2nd down and 8 from the 15. I look at the sidelines, the coach is signaling in a pass. I'm going, great, chances are we're not going to complete this because I have a personal relationship with the punter. So I took the snap, dropped back, picked out a kid in the 3rd row, woo, in the stands, started chucking it. 3rd and 8, wants me to throw another one. Can't throw this one in the stands, bounces to the ground because I still have that same relationship with the punter. Now all of a sudden it's 4th and 8, ball's at the 15-yard line. My offense runs off, kicking team runs off, my teammates are going, hey Joe, kick it right, man, just get back here, no problem. I'm standing on a goal line Soldiers Field looking up, Mom, look at me. I'm a punter in the National Football League. How great is this? What went through my mind were 2 things. Danny White was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. He was their punter. And Ray Guy, the great punter of the Oakland Raiders. Leg 4 miles in the air, arms spread like a giant swan. Those were the images I had. That was going to be me. I channeled my inner Ray Guy. All of a sudden, I got the snap, dropped the ball, went through it, pow, the ball goes flying off my foot, hung up in 16 yards. I'm back 15. You can all do this now. You're being addressed this afternoon by a record holder in the National Football League. I hold a record for the shortest net punt in the history of the National Football League. You ever watch guys run down the field and cover kids? My guys, they got no clue where this thing went. I start going to the Bear Bench, so I give it the old cursory jog. I start walking back 6 Chicago Bears come up to me. Way to go, Joe Page. Can't wait for you to kick it again. Go get it out. Needless to say, I'm retired with my 1 yard average. I'm a record holder in the National Football League. Not many people can actually say that. But don't be afraid to step outside. Because people said, you know what, guys, if you want a failure, was fun. Never had a failure in my life. Only an educational experience that did not go my way. Everything in life you have to learn from, the good and the bad. I remember so much more about the Super Bowl I lost than the one I won. Isn't it interesting, when things are going well, we don't necessarily pay that much attention to it, and then when things don't go well, it really gets our attention. But you have even, that's why I look at Tom Brady, 7 world championships. Troy Aikman, 3, Terry Bradshaw, 4. You look at these guys that do it year after year. I settled. I settled. I could have been better. We were the highest scoring team in the history of football in 1983. The year we lost to the Raiders. I could have been better. I could have been able to take it to the next level. Goals you have to have. Attitudes you need the right one. Customer service. That's why we're in business. You're in business because of the customer. Signs are everywhere. You see customer service everywhere you go. Walk into a bank. Walk up to a teller. Behind that teller is a vault. Millions of dollars in that vault. They send you over to a table. 19-cent pen. Chain that. Vaults wide open. Pens, chain that. When you're in the banking business, you have to go check that out. Take a look. I got a buddy of mine moving into a studio office. My buddy, his name is Jimmy. I called my florist John. I said, John, do me a favor, get something over to Jim. He said, Joe, don't worry about it. I've been taking care of you for years. I said, fine, no problem. 2 days later, I get a phone call from Jimmy. Hey, Joe, I love the plant, but I don't understand the card. I said, what do you mean? Card said rest in peace. I said, my concern's not for you, it's for the other guy. I got the other card. I said, hey, congratulations on your new location. All those little things in life that we're able to do. Those little things. I was down in Atlanta a number of years ago. It was sort of 2:30 in the afternoon. I was going to sit down and have some dinner. Sort of late lunch, early dinner. And as I sat down, I had a black pair of pants on, and there was a white napkin on the table. The server walked up and took the white napkin, and I said, where are you going? He said, sir, you have black pants on, and this is a white napkin. I don't want the napkin to come off on your pants. Picked the napkin up, went and brought me a black one. Does it seem like much? No. But was it impressive? Absolutely. What little thing can you do that separates you from everybody else? What are the things that you do as you look at your business? What separates us from them? It's the little things that always matter. And there's a saying, I got in the restaurant business 50 years ago, 1975. I got in the restaurant business. A buddy of mine gave me a sign. He said, Joe, put this on your desk. This will help you understand the world of business. No, it understands life. It's not just about business. It's about life. It's about relationships. It goes like this. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And you know what that applies? It doesn't apply to the people that buy automobiles or buy parts. It applies to the people that work in your stores. Let them know how much you care. Let them know that they're in a special place. Like I said, I've been in the restaurant business for 50 years. The most important thing to me is, what are the people in that store thinking? What's important to them? If I can make sure that they're okay, the business will take care of itself. They'll be proud to be there. I walk around my restaurant and I knock napkins and silverware off the table. And I go and I sit. And I wait. I want to see if anybody walks by it. I want to see if anybody stops to take the time to pick it up. Do they care enough about the house to make it theirs? Even though it has my name on it, it's not mine, it's ours. Never have I done that and sat down that someone hasn't stopped, the first person stopped and picked it up. God, that's so heartwarming. When you see somebody, and I hate the term employer and employee, to me, they're associates, they're partners. You're in this thing together. You know, employees work as long as they need to. Partners want to make it right. Associates want to make it right. And so to me, that's what it's all about. It's about the people. Goals, attitudes, customer service, teamwork, TEAM. Together, everyone achieves more. Individuals committed to a common goal. And one of the reasons why I enjoy the automotive industry so much, dealerships in particular, because it's like a football team. The three basic elements of your dealerships are finance, service, and sales. Basically, they're the three basic elements. Just like offense, defense, and special teams. You can have a great offense. You can just put up a ton of points, but you can't stop anybody. It's the Los Angeles Chargers. A year ago, they averaged 35 points a game, and they couldn't stop anybody.
True.
So every element has to work. That's why I love the analogy. I think, and of course, when you talk about a team, you have to have a leader. I think there's great leadership here. And this is terrific. You've got unbelievable what you got going here. I mean, it's wonderful. It's great to see everybody out excited about the opportunity to be able to learn. But I like I said, from a leadership standpoint, I think of a kid named Joey Bosa. Joey was an Army sergeant during the Iraqi War. I happened to be in Camp Lejeune playing golf with him one day. He's a triple amputee. Left arm gone below the elbow, both legs gone below the knee. But he was out in the cart playing golf. Finally, we got to the fourth hole, and I said, Joey, what happened? He said, we're on patrol in Iraq. He said, I'm in the passenger seat. I got a driver, a guy in the back seat. IED goes off under us. I said, wow, that's unbelievable. He said, Joe, I can live with my situation in my life. And this is what blew me away. Because the men that I was responsible for are okay. I can live with my situation. He's a jiu-jitsu master champion in Dallas, Texas. He's unbelievable. People come and say, oh, your condition. What condition? I don't have a condition. But he was worried about the guys, not himself. Responsibility. I play in the American Century Golf Tournament out in Lake Tahoe every year. There's 35 years for me out of the 36 tournaments. A couple of years ago, Tony Romo they do interviews. Tony was talking. And Tony talked about the word responsibility. Have you ever stopped to think of the responsibility that you have to the individuals that work in your operation? Their families, their kids in school, their meals. From a quarterback's perspective, I got my left tackle. If I hold the ball too long and I get sacked, he's going to get ringed. If I hold it too long again, they're not going to get rid of me, especially at these prices today. They're not going to get rid of it. The only better job that you can have in football is be a coach and get fired at these numbers today. But I'm responsible for him. I'm responsible for his family. I'm responsible for his house. I'm responsible for his kids going to school. Think of that word responsibility as you go back to your operations. What kind of responsibility do you have to the individual? You're responsible to make sure that the people there are doing the job they're supposed to do. One of the hardest things to be a leader is to tell somebody, hey, I can't use you anymore. You know why? Because you're not doing the job. Coaches say this all the time. Nobody gets cut when it comes to the end of the training camp. The guys cut themselves because they can't cut the business. And it's tough to let somebody go, sometimes friends. But Joey's one of those very exceptional individuals. Sully Sullenberger, the miracle on the Hudson. Sully was invited to the White House. President-elect Obama asked him to come to the White House. He said, sir, I would love to, but I will not attend unless my crew comes with me. It wasn't about just me. It was about everybody on that plane. It was the crew that made a difference. I'm always curious about champions. I tell people all the time, you want to get really good at something, study people that are really good at something. Don't just read for the sake of reading, but study individuals. Joe Gibbs one day, Joe was getting ready, incredible man. He was getting ready for a sports Super Bowl. And I was interviewing, I was on TV, and I said, Joe, what do you look for in a championship player? I didn't ask him what he looked for in a player. I'm not interested in a player. I can find players. I want championship quality players. What do you look for? He started simple. He said, I want character, intelligence, and ability. I said, come on, coach, everybody wants those three things. He says, no, that's the order in which I look for things. Character first, because we're going to go through some tough times. He used to call them wet diapers. I don't want them just hanging around. Character is something you have to have. Intelligence, like I said, you look at the way we change plays all the time. Some of the verbiage, you watch the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. on offense. Pay attention to them when you watch football this weekend. Look at how close they get. The Green Bay Packers are the third one. Look at how close they get to having the clock run out on them. They snap the ball with 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Because the plays are so long, the verbiage is so long. As a quarterback, there's so much to get out of your mouth. You can't stumble. It has to come out. But it's that kind of situation. So it's character intelligence, vulnerability. How fast are you? How strong are you? These are the things that matter, but not the other two. Al Saunders was the head coach of the San Diego Chargers when they were there. 5-time offensive coordinator. I asked Al one day, what do you look for in a championship player? He said, I want to know if they're members of the Abel family. I said, Abel family? Are they available? Are they reliable? And are they accountable? Available, reliable, and accountable. Are they available? One of my biggest pet peeves, I run different companies at different times. I have very few things that bother me. The thing that bothers me the most is when people are late for a meeting. It is inexcusable for there to be a time that everybody knows to be there and somebody comes strolling in a little bit late. Oh, well, traffic was bad, leave early. Those are the people that just are going to push and push and push. Available, reliable. I ask you to do a job, do a job. If you can't do it, that's on me. We'll work to try and get it done, but we have to be able to make sure it gets done. And all accountable. Well, the cars didn't come in. These tariffs are really driving us crazy, and some of the guys didn't come in. Not interested. I need the cars out. We need the cars off the truck. Bottom line, that's it. Let's get it done. The thing that scares me a little bit about young people today is, and I know they're, in general, nobody in this room, I'm sure, but they seem to be able to want it easier than some of us really had. I mean, they're looking for an easier road. Well, geez, you mean I have to come in at 8:30 instead of 9 o'clock? Oh my God, I have to stay till 5:30? I thought we were done at 5. No, you work till the job is done. You pay a price until the job is done. You want to be good at something, you have to work at it. This is what drives me crazy, and I'm going to open this floor to questions later. This is what drives me crazy about the portal in football. You get a guy for 1 year, you can't teach him jack diddly. You really can't teach him much because you don't have him. And then he's gone someplace else. And then all of a sudden, we get a product in the NFL of guys that were talented, but there's so much more to the quarterback position. There's the cerebral aspect of it. There's the fundamental, basic aspect of playing the position. There's decisions that have to be made. How about this year, the epidemic in football? Running backs running into the end zone and dropping the ball before they're in the end zone. What? I see this and I think to myself, they're so concerned about their celebration. They're running and all they're thinking about is, what kind of movement? Think the guys, what kind of moves do we put on up here, right? What kind of moves can I put on when I hit the end zone? Just get in the end zone. I'm not saying you have to be Barry Sanders where you run the end zone and to the referee, but please make sure you cross that line. Amen. It amazes me sometimes when I see that. And then one of my favorite analogies is Tom Brady. I think Tom's the greatest that ever played the position. I think he's phenomenal. And yet I look at him as the leader of the New England Patriots for the year in Tampa Bay. And if you study his Super Bowls, it's an interesting analogy. It's an interesting deep dive. And I'll go through it with you. Now, I consider him the best, but he didn't do it alone. Super Bowl 36 against the Rams. Adam Vinatieri made a kick with no time left on the clock. Final score of that game, 2017. Super Bowl 38 against the Carolina Panthers. Final score, 32-29. Adam Vinatieri made a kick with 4 seconds to go in the game. Super Bowl 39 against the Philadelphia Eagles. Final score, 24-21. Adam Vinatieri makes a kick late in that game. Super Bowl 49 against the Seattle Seahawks. And if you're a Seattle fan, I will apologize in advance. Malcolm Butler intercepts a catch. Why they didn't give it to the Beast 4 times, nobody really knows. Malcolm Butler makes a great interception. They win that game 28-24. Super Bowl 51, if you're a Falcon fan, this one's going to sting. Julian Edelman makes an incredible catch in the middle of the football field. Final score, 34-28. Super Bowl 53 against the Rams. Once again, final score 13-3. Steven Gostkowski, their kicker, makes a kick late in the game, makes it a two-score game. And of course, Super Bowl 55, of which they played Kansas City. Final score 31-7. That was all about the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Tom's considered the greatest. He's the leader of the football team. But why? Why does he have those 7 rings? Why was he at the top of the mountain? He did not do it alone. He drove them down the field, and who caught the ball? He got to a position where after he could make the kick, he had to make it to win. So, as the leader of an organization, as the leader to acknowledge and understand who your team is, and understand the roles that they play in your organization. So often we put people in position of management, they're not suited for it. It's not their thing. Find out what person fits best into that little niche. Make sure that they understand what they're doing. So you don't have to invest all the time in teaching them all the things they need to know that they should have done in the first place. Goals you have to have. Attitudes, you need the right one. Caring about people is so vitally important. Working as a part of a team. And then you get to motivation. People call me a motivational speaker. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm just sharing stories with you. And as I look around, you know what's funny? From up here, I look around and see a room. When I tell a story, I see something. I see a look in somebody's eye. I feel like I've hit a little nerve. It's, you're sitting there, you're hearing me, but you're thinking about what I just said, because how does it apply in your life? It's a great position to be in, to be able to see that and see people understand. But you still can get motivated. I drive my wife nuts. If you haven't figured it out by now, I run a little hot, okay? I'm an excited kind of guy. My feet hit the floor in the morning, man. I can't wait to see what life's all about. Boom, I'm gone. I'm ready to go. But pride motivates us. Everybody has a lane that says who you are, who you represent. Pride. I think of our kicker, Mark Mosley. By the way, the only kicker in the history of professional football to be elected MVP of the National Football League. Wow. The MVP of the league. 1982. I would not wear this ring. We would not be world champions if it wasn't for Mark's ability to kick. But in 83, we're playing the Philadelphia Eagles at our rainy, miserable, ugly day. Ugly day. We did outside kicking. So Mark comes in, he's standing in front of the mirror, fixing his hair. He's just standing fixing his hair. So I walked up and said, "Hey, Mark, how's it going?" "Good. You feel like you hit the ball pretty well today?" "Yeah, I feel like you hit it pretty well." I said, "You plan on wearing a helmet today?" "Like, I'm wearing a helmet." He says, "Well, why are you fixing your hair?" Without ever taking his eye off the mirror, he says, "Joe, I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of who I represent." Now hand me that hairspray. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of who I represent. You represent your dealership. You represent, or the companies that you're vendors, or the companies you're associated with. You represent yourself. You represent your family. Take pride in who you are. And by the way, don't let people tell you you have to be something else than you are. The funny thing about leadership is when you try and be someone you're not, that's about as phony a thing as you're ever going to see. Be you. How many of the disciples of Bill Belichick or Bill Parcells have had success? They tried to be like Bills. They tried to be like others. You can't. They were them. You be you. Take what you learned from them. Take the foundation that they've taught you and put your own spin on it. Put your own personality into it. Take pride in who you are.
That's right.
Recognition. We all love a pat on the back. Everybody loves a pat on the back. I say this about our children. Tell our children how special they are. You have your kids. When I played, I had to be on the road a lot, but I'd always try and get there. If you travel a lot or you're working late and your son or daughter has an event, find a way to be there. Maybe it's the last part of a soccer game or the last part of a musical or it's the last part of a ball game. Find a way to be there so that when they come off the field, they see you. We've all made excuses. Daddy's working so hard, Daddy's working so late. And I missed my opportunities with my children. I missed them, some of them. And I look back and I say, would I do it over? Yes. Would I want to be there? Absolutely. You know why I say this to you? Because that particular moment in their life, you never get back. There's no instant replay where they're going to look at something and say, "Oh, this was good." No, share the moment with them. recognize that. John Riggins and Joe Thiesmann are going to get honored at RFK Stadium. Our names are going up on plaques. I was standing on the 50-yard line like a broken down old football player should be at halftime, waiting for the clock to kick down. John's supposed to be standing next to me, but he's not. We've lost him from time to time, quite the character. And then all of a sudden the crowd starts getting loud. They start cheering, they start clapping. And here comes John Riggins out of our locker room in full battle regalia. He's got that helmet under his arm, he's got this giant shoulder pad, thigh pads, he comes running out, 44 jersey. People are going crazy, screaming, yelling, cheering. Johnny comes up and he stands next to me. I look at him and I said, John, you really are something. He says, yes, I am one night. Then I asked him my second favorite word, why, John? Why did you get it? And you know what he said? I had to hear it one more time.
Oh, man.
That compliment that you can pay to somebody for a job well done, it's worth all the money in the world. The value of a human life, the value of the work that someone done has such great value to them as well as you. Let them know they've done a good job. John had to hear it one more time. When he ran, they made that, woo, that diesel sound. But he had to hear that one more time. But I think the greatest motivator of all is one simple thing. People say money. No! Money is a byproduct of love of what you're doing and being good at it.
Let's go.
Fear is the greatest motivator of all. Absolutely.
Fear
absolutely is the most incredibly motivating thing. This room's about 40 yards long. Reggie White, God rest his soul, 6'4", 315 pounds. Run a 40-yard dash, 4.6 seconds. Joe Thiesmann runs the same distance, 5 seconds flat. Common sense is telling you, if Reggie's chasing Joe, he's going to catch him. I'm telling you, not if fear is a motivator. I can run 4.5, and I have on many occasions. The last little story I'd like to share before the questions. I flew into Buffalo, New York, when I checked into a hotel. I asked the young lady at the desk. I said, ma'am, I'd like to go get something to eat. She said, across the fields an all-night diner. I said, great. I started down into the night. I started walking. I looked back, saw her smiling face. I thought, wow, she's done something nice for somebody. She feels good about it. That wasn't the case at all. She said this kitty down across the graveyard. She's laughing at me. Hello, Susan, the football player. You guys figured it out. I didn't care. I'm hungry. I'm walking along. All of a sudden, bang, I fell in the grave. Woo! Started digging and digging and digging. I can't get out. Now the analytical mind of the quarterback starts. It's 4 a.m. It's pitch dark. I'm in the middle of a graveyard. Logical conclusion. If I start yelling for help, who in their right mind is going to come and save me? Nobody. But if I pull over in this corner, wait till daylight, throw a coat over myself. Scream like that with daylight comes. So I'm laying. About 20 minutes goes by. Bang! That guy falls over here. He doesn't see me lying down over on that side of the grave. He's digging, digging, digging. Finally throws his hands here. He says, my God, I'll never get out of here. I said, you know, I felt the same way. You've never seen anybody motivated like that in your life. One step, he was out of here. You look like that Michael Jordan silhouette. Just flying like that. I don't know what flips your switch. I don't know what gets you going. But something motivates you. Whatever it might be, let it continue to be the driving force of the things you want to do. You know, life's too darn short. You know, you reach stages in our lives, I see my friends, I'm losing friends left and right. Guys I went to school with, guys I played ball with. I love living life. I love sharing opportunities with people to be able to look at their lives through mine. Maybe there's something I said here today that has flipped a little switch inside of you. So maybe I need to do a little bit more of this. Maybe I need to get to more of my kids' games. Maybe I need to spend more time with the people I love. You know, you can't take anything you have materially with you, but you can sure share love an awful lot. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.